I started really paying attention as a teenager, like tough two, tough three. So like
Yeah,
I remember like laylocks weren't a thing
a lot
back
of
then.
people, a lot of coaches here in town, they were they were telling me that I shouldn't be doing those leg locks because they're very dangerous and very they illegal to white belts. They should only black belts do it. And I was like, well, I'm not doing it because uh, I'm a white belt or because I wanna hurt nobody. I'm doing it because I wanna use them in my professional fighting. I wanna get good at this, and eventually I wanna compete in the black belt division. So that's the only weapon I can use to be able to defeat people with more experience than me. So
Right.
all the everybody hated me, bro. Like especially locally because how white belt is stopping all these black belts in town? How is that
Hmm.
possible? So they hated me.
Hmm.
But a lot of kids or a lot of people that saw that, they're like, I want to train with that guy. He's a white belt and tapping all these guys.
Hmm.
And eventually I got my blue belt and eventually my purple belt. And in every belt that I was competing, I was dominating, bro. I was dominating. And I got my black belt in 6 years. In my first year, I got my black belt. I got ranked number one in the world. My first year as a black belt, and the second year and the third year, gi, no gi. And I also compete in absolute division. I was competing in SJJIF and NABJJF. Those are the two competition brands that I was competing because my sponsors pay me money if I win in those tournaments. So
Right.
I was getting paid like couple $1,000 per gold medal,
Hmm.
and I was compete in gi, no gi, gi open and no gi open in four divisions. So the majority of the times I come home with four gold medals. For me, that was an income like, oh, that's $4,000 right there, you know?
Oh yeah.
So
Hmm.
I started competing, and I got really fascinated with leg locks, and I started creating my own modifications, my own leg locks. I had like 4 or 5 leg locks that I made myself that a lot of people doesn't know about. Like they
Right.
don't
Right.
even know they exist. And whenever I start teaching them, a lot of people start booking me to do seminars or teaching them leg locks. And
Hmm.
back then it was like you say, it was not they were
Hmm.
not popular.
Hmm. Nah.
Nobody really do leg locks. Back in Brazil, they call it zapateros. Um, how do you call like shoemakers? The people that did
Mm-mm.
leg locks, kind of like saying that it was cheating. They
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
want to do those things.
like in baseball, they'll call it bush league, like where it's like cheating. It's like frowned upon. It's like an unwritten rule. Like
Yes.
I'm not
So
explaining it. Yeah.
I started doing the leg locks, and I got ahead of the game in leg locks, and eventually people start doing leg locks eventually. But by the time they were doing leg locks, I already had like 12 years of leg locks. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
And whenever they tried to get me in a leg lock, I wasn't panicking or I wasn't like
Hmm.
scared. I was like, I know how to counter that because I
Right.
made that move. Or I know
Yeah. Yeah.
the counter of that move. And
You lived while they were all learning it. You lived it. Like you lived
yeah.
in it.
So eventually the same coaches that they were hating on me, that they were like being rude and disrespectful to me, they asked me to teach them privately, like private lessons, one on one, showing
Mm.
leg locks, blah blah blah. And I didn't hate him then. I was like, yeah, come by. It's
Yeah.
$60 an hour though. So I started teaching them, and I started teaching a lot of professional fighters, fighters that fight in the UFC, fighters that fight in Bellator, like big name fighters. They were asking me for leg locks, even though I wasn't in those competitions yet.
Right.
And so it opened a lot of doors for me. Like in the String Couture in Las Vegas, my friend Dennis Davis, he's the head coach of the professional team, and 90% of the fighters in the professional team, they're like the top 10 UFC fighters in the world.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah. So I was going there with them. Those guys were asking me to teaching them leg locks. Like some of the best guys in the world, for example, another friend of mine, Mike Perez, he um he beat Buchecha in jiu-jitsu. He beat Gordon Ryan in jiu-jitsu. Supposedly Gordon Ryan is the best in the world in jiu-jitsu.
Right.
That guy beat him because of my leg locks. And whenever he won, he gave me a shout out like, thank you to JC for planting the seed of doing leg locks and helping me with the leg locks and showing me how to do leg locks. And me and my Perez, whenever we grapple, I get him all the time. You know what I mean? And my press be like some of the best guys in the world. Right now, he's like probably top 10 in the world for best